Survived. The hitmen ran for cover at Coletti's mother's house. Then Brenda helped them destroy the rented getaway car so that it could not be traced.
We drove a few blocks away and they took the car. It was a brand new Taurus and they torched it.
Brenda reported the car stolen. As far as the hitmen were concerned, their message had been delivered. Don't mess with John Stanfa. But instead, the attempt on Merlino's life set off a chaotic, all-out mafia war. Stanfa's hitmen, expecting a retribution hit from the Merlino camp, planned their strategy. Like a football team, they studied a videotape of the other side. One of Stanfa's bodyguards got a videotape of Mike Cingolini's funeral from a Philadelphia TV station. Skinny Joey Merlino struck first. A month after he was wounded, Merlino supposedly ignored the rule against involving family members in mob violence and allegedly ordered John Stanfa's son murdered. 23-year-old Joe Stanfa was shot in the head while caught in traffic on a Philadelphia highway. He survived, but it sent his father reeling. Not surprisingly, Stanfa demanded retribution.
The old man was very upset and his son just got shot in the head. And he was very distraught and he said to Philip, I want you to go out and kill this guy and kill his son.
So John Vesey went out and murdered a member of the Merlino faction, Frankie Baldino. To the police, it was just one more corpse in the ongoing gangland war. But not for Vesey. It would be the hitman's last kill on behalf of the mob. His next target would be the boss himself. Mob hitmen can be dangerous in more ways than one. They are the keepers of valuable mafia secrets, the kind of secrets prosecutors will pay for, when and how a murder was carried out, and who gave the order to do it. But in switching allegiance, of course, the hunter then himself becomes the hunted. For a mob hitman, John Vesey was sitting pretty in 1993. He had killed two mafia rivals for his boss, tough Sicilian-born John Stanfa. He was a killer on his way to the top. And then something unusual happened to John Vesey. He had a change of heart. It was Vesey's own brother Billy who began to persuade John that he had chosen the wrong path in life. So John Vesey, at his brother's urging, went to the FBI and began negotiations to become a government witness against his boss, John Stanfa. Stanfa realized Vesey was going to turn. He ordered the hitman killed.
We knew that they were going to kill John, you know. We knew they were going to kill John before Christmas of '93. Because he was opening his mouth and he was just shooting his mouth off. John doesn't always use his head. He's just very wild. He's a little nuts, but he's a good guy.
Two of Stanfa's thugs called Vesey to a meeting above this butcher shop, saying they were going to train him to run Stanfa's gambling operation.
While one guy's going over some paperwork and Vesey's sitting there, the other guy goes to the bathroom, just like in The Godfather, gets the gun that was hidden in the bathroom, comes out, and walks up behind Vesey and says, "Bye-bye, John."
The hitman put the gun right to Vesey's head. Vesey would later testify in court about what happened next.
He said, "Bye, John." Pow, pow, pow. He shot me in my head several times. I don't know every time. With my friends, I didn't think they would shoot me. I stood up to my girlfriend. What the f*** are you doing? I was a little, like, you know, stunned. Ready to get shot in the head.
Vesey was still standing despite two .22 caliber bullets in his skull. He managed to fight off his assassin.
Kept telling me you're dead, so I ain't dead yet.
Vesey escaped from the death trap and ran straight to the FBI. Now it was time for his partners, Philip and Brenda Coletti, to get nervous.
We knew if they were going to take out John, they were going to take out us. Philip is very streetwise. He knew what was going on better than I did. And especially after they tried to kill John, he knew it. I mean, Philip knew too much. If he flipped, there was just too much information stored in his brain that could hurt a lot of people. He always, you know, told them that he would be faithful and remain faithful to them and whatnot. But that doesn't mean anything If they want to take you out, they'll do it, you know.
So Visi's partners joined their fellow hitman in breaking Omerta, the Mafia code of silence. John Visi and Philip and Brenda Coletti all became witnesses for the government.
If you're faced with a choice of either cooperating with the government or being dead, that's not that hard of a decision.
You have to leave everything behind, and you cut your ties, and you lose so much, you sacrifice so much. But, you know, it's something that we wanted to do. We were wrong, now we have to pay for our mistakes.
In the fall of 1995, Philadelphia's godfather John Stanfa went on trial for murder. But before the Colettis and John Visi even testified, Stanfa got revenge the only way he knew how. Hitmen went after Visi's brother Billy, who had convinced him to turn away from crime.
He comes out of his house, he gets into his vehicle, and he drives down to the end of the street. And at that time he's approached, numerous shots are fired, and his car actually travels across Oregon Avenue and runs into a house and stops. So it's early morning at South Philadelphia, and you know, they just come out and they opened up on him.
The brother of John Visi was killed on a street corner in South Philadelphia on the day Visi was to take the stand. Everyone perceived that as a warning to Visi. I mean, Visi went ahead and testified anyway, but what it said was, you know, you want to hurt us, everybody's at risk.
What was that you were trying to do?
Trying to kill George and Molina.
Visi told the jury how he followed Stanfa's orders in killing Mike Cingolini and in trying to kill skinny Joey Merlino.
We drove down the street, Michael and Joey were walking back on the south side of Catherine Street. Phil said, jump in the back. I jumped in the back with the window down. We both shot out the window.
What did you see?
I see Michael Cingolini spin around on the floor, get back up, fall down again. Joey Merlino running back and forth.
Visi painted a vivid portrait of the sadistic enforcement tactics used in South Philly's underworld. A believable tale, since he was one of the enforcers. He explained how in one confrontation he tackled an enemy hitman with a power tool.
When he came in the house, I sat him down, smacked the face with a drill. Then I started drilling. I asked, you ready to kill me? You know what I mean? I drilled him a few more times. I started drilling his chest, his legs, on the side of his head, to rip his hair out, and pull out chunks of hair with the rotation. And then with a back and knee.
Prosecutors believed that Visi, despite the raw brutality of these admissions on the witness stand, managed to strike a chord with the jury.
The jurors loved John Visi. He was a street corner raconteur. He had that kind of that wise guy charm. He was. You have to see him. You have to picture John Belushi, samurai hitman, in a witness stand if you want to understand what John Visi was like. And the jurors loved it. And he was self-effacing, and he was straightforward, and he didn't coat who he was or what he did, and he just laid it all out there.
Visi's partner, Philip Coletti, told the jury about his efforts to kill Merlino with a bomb on Stanfa's orders.
Most of the time we would put under his car. We always parked in the same place. And a couple of times, there's a little brick wall over here, and we put in trash in front of the brick wall. So, you know, he would walk by and get a better view.
And who actually pressed the button?
I pressed the button.
Coletti and Visi were persuasive witnesses. The jury believed that John Stanfa had given these orders to his hitmen. The verdict was guilty. And there were more guilty verdicts to come.
So far, we've convicted 11 made members of La Cosa Nostra, including the boss, consigliere, capo, and members of the Philadelphia family of La Cosa Nostra in this prosecution, and it's been highly successful.
Yeah, well, we've got a bunch of them in jail. There's a bunch of them dead. Some of them are disabled. It's just not a good line of work.
John Stanfa was sent to prison for life. He was blamed for 2 murders after his hitmen turned on him. Nicky Scarfo, also a sentence of life without parole. 15 mobsters died during Scarfo's tenure as head of the Philadelphia Mafia. Even Harry the Hunchback, Scarfo's archenemy, ended up with a life sentence. The Hunchback was betrayed by one of his hitmen and was convicted of murder.
He was afraid he was going to get convicted and get 12 years, which he might have and he might not have. So he settled to become a witness. Had he come back and talked to me or discussed things, I didn't care why he did it. He did it because he didn't want to go to jail. I don't believe in sour grapes.
The mob wars in Philadelphia took a gruesome toll. Between 1980 and 1995, the FBI estimates that out of 50 full members, or made guys, at the top of the Philly mob, 29 were murdered, all in the name of La Cosa Nostra, Italian for this thing of ours.
This thing of ours comes first, comes before your family, comes before your kids, comes before your mother, comes before anything. If you gotta kill your own brother, that's what you gotta do. Because this thing is first. When you take your vows, this comes first.
Nick the Crow Caramandi confessed to participating in 3 murders, a requirement of his deal with the feds.
I was afraid of the judge. Because this guy hears about murder, 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 he ain't gonna let me go. And he gave me to work more time than anybody got. I got the most time out of everybody. He wanted to give me 50. He didn't even want to let me go. He wanted to give me 50 years. He said, if I can give you 100 years, I'll give you 100 years.
But in the end, all the Crow had to serve for his 3 murders was 13 months in prison. When his time was done, Caramandi entered the Federal Witness Relocation Program. He took up a new identity and began a new life. But his old hitman caution prevailed. Caramandi didn't trust the U.S. Marshals to protect him, so he dropped out of the program, deciding to spend his life on the run.
Awful. How do I feel? Awful. You gotta live with, with one eye behind your head. You gotta watch yourself. You gotta be careful.
I don't think he's particularly happy where he is. And if you talk to guys on the corner now, they say, well, good, because he's a rat and he deserves anything bad that befalls him.
Brenda and Philip Coletti also entered the Witness Relocation Program. But Brenda was thrown out by the Marshal Service after she appeared on a television program. Now Brenda is on the run.
I feel like a walking target. They don't take too kindly to rats walking around right under your nose. That's like a slap in the face to them. I've heard, people on the street telling me, for me, they probably would get a big thrill out of torturing me first because, like I said, I'm in this area. They don't appreciate a rat right under their nose. It's a major insult. That is a slap in the face. And I'm here, and I'm smearing it in their faces. And, of course, they want me dead, too. When you're a rat, you're a rat. Your name is dirt. That's it. There is no turning back. You are scum. That's the way it is.
Turncoats like Nick Caramandi, John Vesey, and the Colettis are much more common today than they were even 20 years ago. Thanks to hitmen ratting out, the older generation of gangsters, those who survived the street battles, are mostly behind bars. Ironically, these law enforcement successes are partly to blame for the vicious behavior of today's mobsters. According to police, the new generation of mafia hitmen respects few, if any, of the old rules. Gangsters' families have become targets, a practice that would have been unthinkable even among the toughest mafiosi a couple of decades ago. These changes may also reflect an all too modern heartlessness. But one thing is clear, more than ever before, dispatching the hitman has become the